fellow Toastmasters and guests. I'll turn things over to our invocator, Carol Halstead. Carol Ann. Oh, she's muted.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Morning. Morning.
And this year, which has been rather dark, we have much shorter days. However, we are now into the season of Christmas and Hanukkah, also known as the Festival of Lights. And during this time, let us try to spread a little light. Although we can't visit people that may be lonely, let us remember to give them a call, drop them a card. And although with a mask, it's difficult to know if someone's smiling, let us always try to have smiling eyes when we're out among our fellow men, so that we can
Okay, you're already shot here.
brighten this year. Mr. President.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'll ask that we mute our mics for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning and happy Thursday, fellow Toastmasters. Good to see you all. I would like to welcome our guest, our Area 11 Director, John Belmo. Good morning, John. Welcome back. Are there any announcements this morning? Kate?
Thank you, Mr. President. Next week is December 17th and our holiday party. Some of you have already shared with me what you will share that day. You have up to 2 minutes per person if you would like some more. Some folks aren't sharing anything. And we might do something a little different this year. I'll email you if that's the case. We're rolling into it probably Monday after my long weekend. So don't be concerned if you don't see an email until Monday. Thanks so much, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Kate. And Steve?
Yes. This Saturday, the 12th, Margot and the Barker Lions are sponsoring a star show down at the Margin Manor Winery, starting about 6 o'clock because it will be dark. Now, the forecast is not real great for Saturday, so if it doesn't happen, the rain date will be the following Saturday, the 19th.
It is bringing dessert to pass.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yes.
I'm bringing the scope. Does that count?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's this Saturday, we hope.
All right, perfect. Thank you very much, Steve.
You see my scope in the background there.
Yep.
Eric?
Yes, Tom.
Yep. Just an update on the DECA program. We met yesterday at 1 o'clock for an hour and a half, and it was, no, actually it was 45 minutes. And we had one speaker that finished at 6 minutes and 38 seconds. So they're getting much better, and the meetings are running really smooth now. It's pretty impressive how these kids are picking up under these difficult circumstances. So just wanted to update you.
Very good. Thank you, Tom. And I see we have another. Yes, Larry.
I just wanted to let everybody know too that the training session that was held on Tuesday night was the last training session for this calendar fall season, unless there is a need for another. But AM Lockport has had at least 4 members or of their leadership crew that have done that. So we did receive our point for the Distinguished Club. And I just wanted to let everyone know that their leadership had taken care of that. Beautiful.
Yay. Thank you very much, Larry, for the update. And I see we have another guest, Ann Maurer. Ann, good morning.
Good morning.
We welcome you. How'd you find
Thank
us?
you. I found you on the website and it was referred to by one of my girlfriends. So I'm glad to be here. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us, and we hope you enjoy the meeting today.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. We'll leave more announcements at the end of the meeting, and I will turn things over to our Toastmaster of the day, Beth. Thanks.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. This is my first time being Toastmaster, so try to be a little kind to me. I love that I see so much of my theme, red, out there. So we will go through our roles and I will call on people to explain what they're doing. Our first is Word Master. Stephen? You're muted, Steve. Start again.
Fix that. Oh. I want a different direction with the word red. It also means being in a bad financial position, being in the red. So I came up with a word. Can we see? Oh, it's, oh, destitute. Destitute. Without the basic necessities in life, or not having. I hope, and I will keep track of this, particularly during table topics and anybody else that happens to find a way to fit this in. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next role is the Master, Anne Marie.
Yes, good morning, Toastmaster and fellow Toastmasters. I hope nobody is destitute here today. Hopefully everybody is upbeat. I will be listening very carefully for ums, ahs, pregnant pauses, and filler words and report at the end of the meeting. Mrs. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much. Our next role is Grammarian, Jen Zapla.
Yes, I will be your grammarian today. And that means I will be listening for use of language, whether it be good or bad. And I will let you know what ways you did well and what ways you can improve at the end of the meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Our next job is Quote Master. And according to my agenda, it says former member. Is there anyone here who signed up for Quote Master who is not a member this year?
Well, we'll come back to that one.
Yes,
then.
we can come back, and it may even be something in my notes that I have for Red. So moving on, the next role is Jester, Larry Yeager.
Good morning, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and I see we have 3 guests. I have a series of jokes based on red. Some of them might be a little deep, so listen carefully. The first one, the colors red, white, and blue are the colors of freedom until they are flashing behind you on a traffic stop. What did the grape say when the elephant stood on it? It didn't say anything. It just let out a little whine. Yeah, well, they get better. Hang on. My girlfriend found lipstick in my jacket pocket. I told her straight up I was cheating. There's no way I was going to confess I was selling Avon. And last, but certainly not least, a mosquito asks for a date. This is based on blood, by the way. A mosquito asks for a date. I'd like to take you out to suck blood on someone's leg. The female mosquito replies, I don't know. I feel like I'm going out on a limb here. And that's all I got. Madam Toastmaster.
Very good. Our next role is our timer, Len Thornton.
Good morning, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Yes, we have a timer at every meeting because as Toastmasters, we are punctual. We stop talking when we're supposed to, and we also speak for the required amount of time. I'll be timing everybody's speaking opportunities today and reporting at the appropriate time. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much. And our next one is our gesture master, Moklis.
Good morning, Madam Toastmaster of the day, fellow Toastmasters, and most honored guests. We come to Toastmasters for learning. And one of the features of public speaking is gestures. Or in other words, let your body speak the language. And we're always here to inspire each one of us to get better. So I'm going to look for posture, gestures, body movement, facial, looking into the camera, eye contact. And at the end of the meeting, I'll try to quote some good examples. Thank you.
Say thank you.
Thank you, Moklis. Our next role is our quiz master, Samir.
The Quizmaster rounds out the evaluation portion of the meeting in an upbeat way, testing the audience's listening skills. The question and answer period will highlight interesting information that we've learned throughout the meeting, and everyone can exemplify their active listening by answering the questions correctly and not showing themselves destitute of the knowledge that they can gain in the meeting. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Samir. Before I move on to a few other things, a little housekeeping. Thank you for joining us, Ali, who is a guest, I see.
Hi.
Thank you.
How you guys doing?
Welcome back.
Very good. Thank you.
And then Mark has offered to give a quote.
Mark has offered to give us a quote. So we will go to Mark. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and our guests. It's amazing how motivated you can be to find a quote just to get off the hook for table topics. So a short and sweet one. This one by Arnold Schwarzenegger. I like the color red because it's a fire, and I see myself as always being on fire. Madam Toastmaster.
Very good. So you want to chat with her? She's good. Okay. All right. So we're moving on.
Now, housekeeping would just be Thomas Heldwine as alternate speaker. Would you be prepared to give a speech? And interested, you can chat us, all right? We don't need an immediate answer.
No. We just found out this morning, Thomas. It's not my fault this time.
But we're happy to extend the table topics portion.
Yes, we can do that. That's fine.
All right.
All right.
General evaluator.
And our general evaluator this morning is Marty Johnson.
Marty, if you could unmute yourself and share your role. Can you hear us, Marty?
Yes, good morning.
Morning.
I had a little trouble connecting. I got on a couple minutes late. But good morning, everyone, and especially our most welcome guests. As general evaluator this morning, my duty is to evaluate the Toastmaster of the meeting, Beth Banks, and the evaluators, and I will report back at the end of the meeting. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Marty. I have to admit, I chose red before really doing any research, and I did find a plethora of information about red, much of which I did not expect. There are many definitions. The origin of red is actually from the Middle English. And I don't know if, yes, you can maybe see that in the words red, ready, redin, and also rat as in haret, which means marriage. Okay, that makes sense. I found it very interesting that a lot of the definitions of red were nouns. A lot of the definitions were adjectives. So you can look at red in different ways. It is the color or having the color on the end of the spectrum before orange. This is the long definition. The hue of the long wave end of the visible spectrum evoked in the human observer by radiant energy with wavelengths of approximately 630 to 750 nanometers. Any of a group of colors that may vary in lightness and saturation and whose hue resembles that of blood. One of the additive or light primaries, one of the psychological primary hues. It is a pigment or a dye. It is a color or having part of a color. It is having a ruddy, florid, or flushed complexion. It is also, as Stephen said, the condition of being in debt or operating at a loss so that you become destitute. Yes. It is a revolutionary or radical activist, including a communist. It is relating to or being in a red state. It is having a reddish or coppery skin color, possible Native American. Anything colored red, as in the red space on a roulette wheel, a red checker piece, or red clothing. It is also wine. It is a red capsule of secobarbital, which is a barbiturate. It's having red hair color. It's a Republican. It's bloodshot, sore, inflamed. There are also a number of organizations or groups. There is a red nonprofit that benefits research for AIDS. There is a red movie from 2010. And there is Red is the leading manufacturer of professional digital cinema cameras. I think we will now go on to our table topics. Thank you.
Okay. One quick thing, Thomas, then you will try to be a speaker today as our alternate, or you're declining, just to confirm. Did we lose him?
He's
He's unprepared. He might be. It might be just what he needs, he says. So what do we think there, Thomas? Is this a thumbs up? Thumbs up. Okay. Thomas will be a speaker. Thomas, I'll be your evaluator today. You'll be our third speaker. So Jackie, we could stay with 3 table topics. You good?
I'm good.
All right.
And I'm happy to be here this morning to talk about things read and things to be read, because obviously that's a word you can go a lot of different places with. I'm hoping all of our speakers will remember to use the word destitute when I call on them and watch their timing. So this morning, one of the possible things you can do with read is having read a book. And sometimes we find our favorite author falls a little short, and you read the book and it's not quite up to par. So I think it would be great if we heard from our guest, David Jones, about what he's read recently. David.
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master.
He's our newest member.
He's a member. Oh, that's right. I forgot. My apologies, David. Welcome, member David.
Thank you. From Charlotte's Queen City, along with my other Toastmaster, Ali Tobin. He's part of our group. I do not read nonfiction. Oh, good morning, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I don't read nonfiction. I only read business books, self-help books. I'd say the most recent book I read was Unleash Your Power by Tony Robbins. I pretty much have read all of his books, have been to seminars. It's just what I've been doing for 30 years, everyone from Zig Ziglar to Earl Nightingale. So anything that I can put good stuff in my head. One of Ali's favorite people is Les Brown, I believe. That's how he found out about Toastmasters, as did I. I found out about Toastmasters from Zig Ziglar, and Ali heard about him from Les Brown. So it's all these great motivational speakers that have been part of Toastmasters, and they promote it, and they're where they are and where we are. And in Tony's book, he talks a lot about your friends and your peer group, and you need to pick them wisely. And that's been a big part of my life this year, because they're the ones that raise you up. They're the ones that raise your standards. And I've always said in our club that I believe Toastmasters are like superheroes, because the biggest fear of people in the whole world basically is public speaking. And here we are doing it. We're doing the one biggest fear that everyone has. So I really admire us as a group, because we're doing superhero stuff. And I believe that the word is destitute, because if we keep becoming great Toastmasters, we'll become more and more successful, and we'll never be destitute. And that should be it. So thank you, Mr. Table Topics, Mrs. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, David. And I apologize again for forgetting that you joined our club. Sometimes red is just a color, but I like the way Steve pointed out that it also can mean being in the red, and anyone who keeps the books of the household knows what that's like. Sometimes you're skirting on the edge of being in the red. So let's see if another actual guest would like to speak this morning. Ali Tobin, would you like to tell us a little bit about how you keep your household out of the red and make sure you're not destitute? Ali.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster and fellow Toastmasters. It's a privilege to be here as a guest. I would say how I keep my house in the red is I keep everybody on their toes, meaning with the times that we're going through right now, it is a time where you see a lot of negativity and it's a lot of depression going on. And it's a lot of people looking at these times like in a negative way. But I feel like in the middle of this bad destitute time, that in the middle of the light, there is a light down the tunnel. And in the midst of adversity, there's something to be learned from this. So everybody in my household knows that every single day I remind them that 2020 is just a year, but 2021 will be a greater year of our life. If you just look at the positive and learn from what's happening right now, because if you just focus on the negative that's going on right now, you're just going to be negative. But if you can just see some little positivity and learn something from this, it can change your life. And then next thing you know, 2021, you can skyrocket and look at 2020 like it was just nothing. Thank you, Madam Toastmasters, and thank you, fellow Toastmasters.
Thank you, Ali. I like your interpretation. So going back to books, sometimes you discover a new author that you haven't read before, and that gives you a chance to learn new things and enjoy a new storytelling method or a new point of view. I think it would be great to hear from Tom Moran this morning, since he missed out on his chance to give a speech. He might like to talk to us this morning about what he's read recently and what's been going on up north. Tom, unmute. There you go.
You know, the curious thing about that, when you're muted on my laptop, the speaker, the little icon of the speaker is colored red, which means that no one is going to hear you when you're speaking. So I find it interesting that you're talking about reading or things that you've read. I didn't really think it was going in that direction. I don't really read much these days. I guess I tend to read classics now, and my thinking is there are so many excellent books that were written hundreds of years ago that are so interesting and so life-changing for so many people that I tend to look back at those. They not only changed the lives of the the readers, but also changed things over a period of time. People back during the Renaissance period would write certain things that were never written or never thought about before, or never exposed before in writing. And these things created a whole new movement in writing. So I kind of look at those, and I look at the lifestyle of those people back then, and a lot of them were quite destitute, as you know, in those stories. So I kind of look at that as far as reading. When the subject of red came up in the table as a table topics, I was thinking, God, could it actually be that we're talking about the Red Sox? Because the Red Sox are a team up here in Boston, and they are talked about all the time, whether they're good or they're bad. They actually can do a half an hour show on the Red Sox losing to the Yankees 10-1. They can do a half an hour, and all they show is the Red Sox highlights, and they roll them over and over and over again. So that's one of the difficult things about living in an area where you've moved to recently and you're not accustomed to their sports franchises. That I get all sorts of information on the Patriots, and it's an exciting time tonight because the Patriots play on Thursday night. So I was going a different direction with red, but I appreciate the question. Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Tom. And now I think we would like to have a word master report. How is the word destitute doing this morning, Steve?
The word destitute is doing very well. More importantly, all three of our table topics contestants used it. So they all qualify on that score. Thank you.
Thank you. And now I'd like a report from our timer, Len Thornton.
Madam Topic Master, David Jones spoke for 1:45. He qualified. Ali was a little bit short, 1 minute, and I feel a little bit responsible. I'm not sure I explained what our timing requirements are and how we indicate to the speakers, our system of the colors and so on. But Ali only spoke for 1 minute. He would not qualify. And Tom Moran got a little bit verbose. He spoke for 2:41. He was a little bit long. So if we're going by the rules, David Jones is our only.
Did you give that 21 seconds to Ali, maybe?
I don't know. There's a side deal. You work it out. So it looks like David Jones is our winner today.
I was going to suggest that we give Ali time because according to Toastmasters, 1 minute is the actual time frame. So we could say that Ali qualifies as well. But
okay, so Larry
Tom
can.
Moran, you're done.
Larry can.
Madam Toastmaster.
For Ali and
Yep.
David.
Just David and Ali are the two to vote for. And
Yes.
please, Tom Moran was a little long-winded today.
Madam Toastmaster of the day.
I also have the rule of 30 seconds waiver. If you are less than 30 seconds.
15 for, it's 15 in our club. We're stricter, but we'll forgo it this time.
Table topics is 15.
5 to 7 minutes means 4.5 minutes to 7.5. 1.5 to 2.5 minute table topic also means 1 minute to 3 minutes. I don't
Table
know.
topics is 15-second buffer.
15-second buffer.
Toastmasters
Yeah.
rule.
That's true.
Yeah.
Every
Okay.
club is different in different ways. We want to interject. We do have a fourth guest, Ali, or I'm sorry, Ali is already on. Julio, welcome back from Mexico City. And we'll invite you to speak back at the end if you'd like to share something. Okay.
And moving along, I would like to now introduce Evaluator 1, Tracy, who will be introducing Ryan.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I have to tell you, our next speaker, I don't know how to put the word destitute into this, but he is not destitute. He is well prepared for this speech. He gave me all of his objectives last night, and he is working out a pathways in an elective, writing a compelling blog. The purpose of his project is to convey his experience blogging, and he will be giving a short recap about his clandestine life as a blogger and its good and bad moments. Madam Madam Toastmaster, do you have his title?
I do not.
Okay, I do have his title, Ryan Flory, My Time on the Water. Ryan.
Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. Thank you, Madam Evaluator, Madam Toastmaster. Blogs. It seems probably 2 decades ago, blogging became what we would consider mainstream. Blogging, for those that might not be familiar with it, is no different than a journal or perhaps an opinion piece in an editorial. A blog is simply an expression of your experiences on a given topic in a way that drags the audience in and wants them to read more, learn more. Each one of us has probably 2 million ideas we could blog. Every life event is a different experience. Every moment can be captured and written. While blogs are typically nonfiction, more along the lines of what we're seeing, what we're experiencing, what we're doing, or maybe what we want to do, there can also be certain fiction blogs, perhaps fantasies of what you want to see become a reality. In my business, in my time, and in my travels, I've created a long and what seems like never-ending list of ideas. My mind is always running. But how do you put it on paper? What makes a successful blog that people want to read? It's not blank paper. It doesn't work. What you have to do is find a hook, and then you reel them in. And what that hook is a shared common experience. It might be planning, might be events. You could be writing a blog about all the things you notice as a nurse at the hospital. One of the more common blogs is a travel blog. People that travel often go on and share their experiences about the best places, about the best things to eat, about the destinations you might not always find. And so I can give you countless examples. 2 of the most famous blogs in my mind are The Traveling Beard and Walmart Moms. Each one of them tells you about different things entirely, but each one of them has a purpose. And as my blogs have become a more robust reality, I've realized that there are both good and bad moments that come with blogging. Right now, as I create these blogs, none of them have been published. You see, as I write them, I'm preparing them to be published for our spring grand opening. And in spring, when all of these come out at once, staggered, of course, every few days, it's going to be a really challenging time for me to accept whether or not these are popular. And so in the meantime, as I sit here anxiously awaiting feedback, I look at a blank slate, a destitute landscape on a website that no one else can read. And I sit here wondering, what will become of me? Will I be the Edgar Allan Poe of boat blogging? Probably not. But hey, as I put my time and energy and effort into these things, the one thing I can tell you is that the most important thing about blogging is making sure that it's genuine, it's filled with passion, and someone out of these 7.5 billion people in this world will probably, maybe, perhaps want to read about my time on the water. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ryan. We appreciate your speaking today. So moving on, whoop.
I was
Are you confused?
That was 2 to 3 minutes and I was watching my own clock, but I didn't see any, so I don't know.
I apologize. I didn't hear the 2 to 3 minutes, so I didn't give you the cues there.
Okay.
All right. So we're
Sounds
good?
like you qualify.
Okay. And our Moving on, our evaluator 2 is Margot, who will introduce Nancy. Thank you, Margot.
Good morning, everyone. And sorry, I'm a little confused. We went back and forth to Albany yesterday to see my parents. So I'm not quite sure. I know Nancy's doing something on mentoring. I got that in the email from Beth. I'm not sure which path she's in, but I have done the mentoring speech before. So I'm looking to see what kind of a twist Nancy puts on it. And I believe the time is 5 to 7. So Beth, I'll turn it back over to you to introduce Nancy.
Thank you very much. Nancy's speech this morning is a little bit longer than we're used to. It is. Absence makes the heart grow fonder, but it makes the rest of you lonely. Thank you, Nancy.
Fellow Toastmasters, welcome, and guests. Absence makes the heart grow fonder, but makes the rest of you lonely. That's a quote by Charlie Brown. I found many quotes on mentoring, and this is not one of them. Let me explain why I sort of gravitated toward this quote for my title of the speech in mentoring. Picture yourself in a brand new job. After all of the mandatory HR, corporate compliance, policies and procedures, medical checks, and signing off on everything, you're escorted into an office, a beautiful office with freshly painted walls, a desk, a computer, an ergonomic chair, bookshelves with resources and notebooks. And then you're abandoned, wondering who your coworkers are. Where is the bathroom located? This actually happened to me. Walking into something blindly is something that we all know, and we can't quite identify what it is that we need, but we know that we need something. That empty feeling that something is missing. Now, throughout my life, I have had mentors. I've had some good mentors. I've had some not so good mentors. I've had sort of unofficial mentors who maybe didn't even know that they were my mentor. But the worst of all is no mentor. I crave that mentorship, which I didn't even, like I said, I didn't even have a name for. I wasn't even familiar with the concept of mentorship. Therefore, I became the mentor that I always wished I had. What I've come up with is 5 W's to be a great mentor. Wisdom. First, you need wisdom. That doesn't mean you need to be a sage, that you have to have all of the answers. It just means that you have to have some wisdom, some experience in the role that you are helping to be a mentor for. The second one is willingness. You have to be willing to share your wisdom. Some people like to keep it all wrapped up and keep it to themselves. And if you're willing to share your wisdom with someone else, then you might be a great mentor. Willingness to invest your time. When you become a mentor, it doesn't mean, here, I'll give you 5 minutes and a cup of coffee and we're done. It means an investment. Mentoring is a willingness to listen and to learn together, remembering that your mentee has wisdom as well. They are perfectly capable. Part of your role as a mentor is to help them to unfold that, to find it, to blossom. Inspiration. You need to be willing to be inspirational, to inspire somebody, and provide support. Be a cheerleader of sorts, to affirm, to motivate. The third W is why. Why do I say why? The reason is the why gives us the foundation for why we're doing something. Thinking about Toastmasters, why do we have evaluators? I have an evaluator because my goal is to become a better speaker. Why do we have people listening to our ands and buts and so's? Because it helps us to engage better as a speaker. People are listening to us if we're not using a lot of filler language. Our gestures, our eye contact, they all help us be better speakers. That's why, not just because I said so. The fourth and the fifth are work and walk together. Nothing is worse than going it alone. It creates an emotional destitution. Mentoring benefits both the mentor and the mentee by developing leadership skills, building confidence, fostering growth. The best mentors I have known are right here at Toastmasters. The first time I came in, I was nervous. I was afraid that I was going to be criticized in my speaking, but what I heard and what I saw was that investment, that listening, the inspiration, the motivation, the affirmation, the love, the compassion was wonderful. Toastmasters is a perfect atmosphere for building self-confidence. We learn by doing, but we are surrounded by people who have done things before us and are willing to share their experiences. There's laughter, there's support, there's hope, and there's genuine caring. In closing, I will share a quote, a mentoring quote. I encourage all of you to seek out teachers and mentors that challenge you to think for yourself and guide you to find your own voice. Quote from Renee Olmsted, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much. Now we will move on to our third evaluator, who will introduce our third speaker, our third evaluator, Dr. Stevens, who will introduce Thomas, who is very patient with us this morning. Thank you all.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I have the pleasure of evaluating Tom. He has grown quite a bit, I feel, as a Toastmaster in our group. And he is doing an icebreaker, is kind of more of a spontaneous speech today. So that is a challenge. It took me many years to finally do one. I'm not going to tell you how many, but a few. And I look forward to a speech today. It is 4 to 6 minutes typically for an icebreaker, Mr. Timer. And typically they do hold them to their time since he's done this before. And you have the title, Madam Toastmaster.
I do have the title. The title, and I think this is appropriate for Thomas, is Funniest Man Alive. He does that very well. Thanks, Thomas Heldwine.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Welcome all my fellow Toastmasters, our guests, and our visitors from other Toastmaster groups. As an icebreaker, you're kind of given free form. So if everyone can make sure your chat is open and it's set up for everyone, I would like to actually open it up after I give my initial opening monologue to questions, and we'll discuss some of who we think is the funniest man alive and some of the aspects, or even questions for me. If there's something you want to know, just please write it in the comments. So let me start off with an opening monologue. Being the funny person in the room or being the class clown is a defense mechanism. It is something that you can use to deflect and to try and gain friends, absorb popularity, get a message out sometimes. I've basically had multiple people have whatever they were drinking come out their nose when I hit that incredibly golden humor spot where I say something off the cuff and it's the funniest thing they've ever heard and they can't control themselves. So what I'm going to try and do is actually try and create that kind of a moment this morning. May happen, it may not. A lot of people on YouTube do live stream, so they watch the comments. We don't have any in yet, so if you want to start into that, I would say go right ahead. I also want to say to the timer, officially the speaker 3 ends at 8 o'clock. So I may be going over 4 to 6 minutes, depending on how well this goes. If not, we'll be dropping it at 7:50. So if anyone has a question or a comment, please go ahead.
Thomas, what is the funniest thing that you've said that makes the drink? Here, let me get a drink before you say it. That makes that stuff come out of people's noses. Let me give it a shot.
Normally, it's while we're having a conversation, and I'll be trying to be funny. I'll be in that mode, and it just comes off the cuff, out of nowhere. One of the funniest ones, that was what I call a joke grenade, it takes a while, was my family was discussing doctors, and then the women started talking about their doctors, their special doctors. And they were trying to remember a name. And I was like, wait, no, I remember. He had like a crazy first name, Seymour. And they're like, we don't remember his first name. What was his last name? And I'm like sitting there, and then I said, I know what it was. It was Muff. And there's the joke. Give it a couple seconds. Give it more seconds. Everyone will get it eventually. And it took a good same thing happened. 2 or 3 people laughed, and then more people laughed, and more people laughed. Okay. And I think that that kind of a thing is just unforgettable, and people are like, where the hell does that come from? And it's just like, I don't know. It just comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
We have some comments. Got in trouble in school. Yes, I got detention multiple times in school for clowning around. Usually it was sticking pretzels up my nose, shooting spit wads or paper airplanes. Also humorous things that I was doing. They had the class laughing like I had a pair of sweatpants, so I purposely untied the band. And as I walked up to the front, I purposely let them fall to the ground, knowing I had like Christmas boxers on, and everyone would see Santa Claus and Rudolph and stuff. And yeah, that definitely happened. Who is Jack Benny? Dave. Jack Benny's not alive, I don't think. Funniest man alive. Trying to limit the subject.
Tom, do you have to hold yourself back sometimes? Like you have a line you want to deliver, but you don't know whether it's appropriate or not?
You have to judge the audience. Normally that's a progression. You start off with something, and for example, my first joke, for answering your first question, there was laughter, which means it resonated, but there are only like 1 or 2 people that shook their head no. So me looking off to the side like this is me monitoring my audience on my very large screen, trying to watch everyone's reaction. So you can play off the audience and know that you've moved too far to the right or too far left or gone too serious. You can be decimated and or fail on stage if you don't have enough edgy material. So or you come out too edgy. So it is a balancing act. I'm going to keep going. Okay, no, you can't go till 8 o'clock. You're right. I can't tell jokes. Who's funny? Steve Harvey or Dave Chappelle? I'm going to say Dave Chappelle by far, because Steve Harvey is exactly what I was just talking about, being refrained. There are subjects and things that he won't even get into. Some of his comedy on when he was hosting Family Feud was a little bit edgy, but that's because the questions were edgy. Normally asking about your spouse doing something in the bedroom or something crazy. So he was allowed to be a little edgy, but for the most part, he doesn't go that way. While Dave Chappelle, I just remember all of his hilarious, like he played a drug addict. That's like one of the funniest character I ever thought he did was the drug addict guy, where he would go on not Survivor, the TV show with Fear Factor, and he was the drug addict guy, and he was just laying in worms and eating them and stuff. Everyone else was like, I can't lay in the worms, and he's just going crazy. That was hilarious. Dave Chappelle, I would say, is funny. Robin Williams is not alive, so he's not the funniest man alive, but he was good. And I will say that one of the things that Robin Williams really taught me was most comedians who are able to connect with an audience can do so through actual acting. There are many movies where Robin Williams is not funny at all. He's playing a serious actor, and he does a really good job. And I started watching for that. Eddie Murphy plays a donkey. Yeah, he's a little funny, but most of these comedians can play serious roles. The balancing act. Do I need a laugh track? I don't believe in laugh tracks. I don't. They make unfunny comedians seem funny. When the COVID started and these late night talk show hosts started giving their monologues without a laugh track, you could tell how unfunny they were. It's like watching an NFL game without hearing the cheering fans. They've added that to the background of the football games now. When there's a touchdown or something, there's just random cheering fans, and you look at the stadium and it's completely empty. Now, how in the world they get away with that? I don't know. I'm going to wrap it up, but Tim Allen, good guy, funny. I'm going to wrap it up and leave it at that. Thank you for asking your questions. I hope that was good. Madam Toastmaster, I'm going to hand it back over to you.
Thank you, Thomas. And I'll take a few minutes now to talk a little bit more about red. Colors were so powerful in traditional cultures that red objects even were believed to convey health just through their color alone. Spiritually, red is power, energy, vitality, dominance, action, assertion, creation, survival, and passion. It is said when something red appears in your life, it means you are ready to take action on a new goal or project you have been putting off. There are actually physical effects from the color red.
We're gonna pause. I forgot. We have to vote and check on the time actually first.
Okay, boss.
My bad. I'm not a very good assistant because we were supposed to check on the time of the speakers. It's like I'm new also. Mr. Timerlin, how did our speakers do today so that we can vote?
Thank you. Ryan's speech was to be 2 to 3 minutes long. I did not hear that specification, so I was timing him on a 5 to 7. He actually spoke for 3:47, but I think we need to cut him some slack without the time cues there. Nancy was 5 to 7 minutes. She came in at 6:58, no issues there. And Thomas was to do a 4 to 6 minute speech. An icebreaker in name, but he's a veteran Toastmaster, so I don't know that we give him the launch there. He spoke for 8 minutes and 30 seconds. So some judgment calls here, Madam Toastmaster.
It's already on the poll, so you're good. We might as well say it's up to you, folks. The voting will show your choice. Okay. All right. please share chat in the private chat your comments to your speakers. And if you would please share in the chat your private comments, that would be helpful to our speakers. Moving along in red, there are actual physical effects from red. Red speeds up your heart rate, blood flow, and temperature. Red stimulates our senses of smell and taste, making us more sensitive to our environment. It also stimulates the adrenal gland, making us more prone to take action, have energy. The color red is an appetite stimulant. So apparently if we want to go on a diet, we shouldn't be wearing red, I would say. In spite of all the good things, red is the universal symbol for stop. Don't go there. So it seems to have positive, negative, the yin yang of things. There are positive, it's vitality, it's the life-giving power of blood. Think the American Red Cross. We give red roses when we're in love. If you wear red, it's supposed to help you feel confident and ready to take on the world. There are some interesting little tidbits about red. Supposedly, it's the first color babies can see. It's the first color to vanish as the sun sets. It is the least common color of sea glass because apparently a red glass is expensive to produce. Only 1% to 2% of the world's population has red hair. They tend to have less hair, but this is a good thing for redheads. Their hair is more resistant to turning gray with age. So they will stay redhead longer. That's what they say. And I believe we can, there is one thing I wanted to share screen. Yeah. Okay. She's telling me how to do things, but she didn't actually do her job here. These are all a lot of the companies that use the color red. So obviously red is quite an important, potent color. And as you can see, I particularly had to put in Red Bull because when we were in Austria the last time, we did pass the Red Bull headquarters outside of Salzburg. So I had to make sure I put that in. But I found it very interesting how much red we use. Now it's getting and now I will turn it over to our evaluators. Yep, introduce the first evaluator.
The first evaluator, Tracy. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. And today, as you know, I'm evaluating Ryan, and he gave us a 2 to 3 minute speech on writing a compelling blog. And that, first of all, it's difficult to get everything in 2 to 3 minutes if you really want to go in and talk about your blog. But Ryan is such a natural speaker. He's always has been from his first day in Toastmasters. So he did exceedingly well. His opening is probably one of the best gestures I've ever seen on Zoom when he held up the card and cards and dropped them. That was a really dramatic beginning to his speech. It was very effective. And all of a sudden, we all paid attention. What's Ryan going to talk about now? So he did a really good job with his gestures. He managed to use the word of the day, which is very difficult in all situations also, but he did it. And he, as I said, he was just very competent in his speech. If he wanted to improve, I'm not too sure. The title of his speech was My Time on the Water. I might have missed a little bit of it, but is this the title of his blog? And how does his time on the water refer back to it? And if you want to engage your audience, maybe, and I know you only had 2 to 3 minutes, so it might have been impossible in this type of speech, but engage the audience and tell stories about writing your blog. What were the good highlights of it? What were like, oh, how, this was such a terrible disaster. I'm never going to do this again. those type of stories and how you felt about them, because that's another way to engage your audience. This is also, if you really, really want to take it over the top, this is your opportunity to plug your blog. Tell us how we can access it and read it, and why do we want to read it? Give us a reason for that. You might, after you've done that, you also had an excellent ending. So when you did it, says it was a 3-word ending, and my phrasing might not be exact, but I'm hoping, I'm praying, I'm wondering if somebody will someday read my blog. That was a perfect ending. It really brought us back to you writing your blog. So thank you very much for that speech. You did a great job, fellow Toastmasters.
Thank you, Tracy. And moving along, our next evaluator is Margot. Thank you, Margot.
Good morning, everyone, and especially Nancy. Nancy came to us today with her notion of mentoring, and woven into the beginning of her speech was her personal experience. As a result, she gave us a speech that was full of information and not destitute in terms of inspiration as well. So what assets does Nancy bring to us today? First of all, clarity. Her speech was very well enunciated. She made sure we heard every word she said because she used her headphones. I really appreciated that. Nancy brought humor using a Charlie Brown quote, and her use of the mask as a virtual reality device I thought was fabulous. She also had an extremely strong ending. Nancy brought us a notable concept, the 5 W's, and went into each one in detail to make sure we understood everything that she saw in mentoring and every way we could help. Wisdom, willingness, why, work, and walk together. So how could she punch it up? Because we do need to do the sandwich approach. Couple things, Nancy, I'd like to suggest to you. Number one, I know you use notes. We all frequently do. Your notes were to the side. Unfortunately, with Zoom, you have to know where your camera is and talk to the camera. My problem is I'm trying to make eye contact with everybody I see on my screen, and I know I'm not doing it because I'm not looking at the camera, but I'm trying to get feedback that way. So you might want to figure out how you can arrange your notes. The other thing I would suggest in the speech itself is to list the 5 W's right up front. Tell us what they are and then describe them. That repetition is an absolutely wonderful tool for us to learn. And when you used your examples for each one, I really got the concept much more. So that would be the other thing. Nancy, you bring a lot to the table here at Toastmasters, and I envy anyone who you would mentor and you would help to grow. So for the newer members among us, you know, you probably are wondering, what the heck did I do? The notion, the assets, the notable concept, could punch it up, and you bring so much. Put it all together, that spells Nancy. Thank you so much for an inspirational speech this morning, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Margot. And our third evaluator for this morning is Dr. Stevens.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. It's my pleasure to evaluate Tom today. His speech definitely was not destitute of spontaneity. He stepped up today as a spontaneous speech. He categorized his speech as an icebreaker. He set the stage. That is important to do, certainly, in the speech right away. Often speakers will start into a speech and the audience will be listening and trying to figure out what is going on. And sometimes they figure it out and sometimes they don't. So it's important to kind of tell the purpose. So he did that right away. So I like that. It was an interactive speech. I find definitely as a teacher in doing presentations professionally, it's good to have interaction with the audience that keeps them awake, especially when you got boring topics. Try to make it fun. So that's what he was trying to do today. Improv, extremely tough. So I appreciate the fact that you took on that challenge, Tom. It is actually doubly challenging because you have a spontaneous speech and you're doing improv at the same time. So kudos to you for that. In Toastmasters, we're always looking to provide improvement, certainly. you did classify your speech, as I said earlier, as an icebreaker. This really wasn't an icebreaker though. So you might have found a better category, because an icebreaker kind of talks about yourself. So if you wanted to relate maybe some of your favorite comedians to yourself in some way, you were inspired by them. Robin Williams is obviously a dead one right now, but he did do some inspiring things, definitely not inspiring quotes. You can try to connect a few of them and then maybe ask the audience for input. So that might be a good way to go. The audience did have a little bit of trouble getting going initially, but they did respond well, so I'm not surprised. So good job, audience. Humor is important in speeches for sure. It is an art form. We have competitions for it. Sometimes you listen to the competitors and sometimes they're funny, sometimes they're not. One person finds funny, others do not. It is a tough gig. It sounds to me like you want to challenge yourself to do some improv. When COVID is over, that might be a venue for you. I know we've had in the past some other Toastmasters that did that and that helped them in their table topics competitions. So that might be an area for you to improve in the future. I don't know if they really have them online, but that could be something that you could challenge yourself with. So I encourage you to do that. Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster and Tom.
Thank you, Gerald. And can I have a timers report, Len?
You may indeed, Madam Toastmaster. I'm pleased to report that all three of our evaluator contestants this morning qualified. Tracy at 2:39, Margot at 2:14, and Gerald at 2:45.
Thank you very much.
Larry will put up the voting.
And Larry, yes, has put up the voting already. While you are voting, I want you to think about how the color red is used in our language, both positive and negative. We give people the red carpet treatment. You're caught red-handed. You're red in the face. You're seeing red. Red flag, warning, not worth a red cent. Red tape. We have a lot of that. Think of the story you probably had to read in high school, The Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne. And to finish up, I want to give a toast. Let us hope that we all have a red letter day. Fellow Toastmasters.
I'll introduce our general evaluator.
And now for our general evaluator, Marty Johnson.
Thank you very much, Beth. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guest. What a wonderful meeting. Meeting started on time. Moving on to my evaluation of the Toastmaster, Beth Banks. You took care of some housekeeping right away, which is vitally important for a smooth meeting, and a smooth meeting it was. I see we have a number of members dressed in red, so you definitely got your message across. I liked on the agenda the colors red, the color of red, and I applaud whoever was involved with that. It's very eye-catching, very makes you want to attend the meeting with the agenda in advance. The past year or so, someone's been doing some wonderful, wonderful deeds and keeping that updated with the theme ahead of time. That was very eye-catching to me. I liked how you explained the theme right away. You told us about some history, and then you interspersed throughout the meeting. We were definitely not destitute of any information or filler with the theme. So you did a wonderful job with that. And I thought it was interesting. The most interesting thing, Beth, about the color red is that you said, you researched and it said it was the first color that babies were to see. And I never knew that. I think that's very interesting. Someday I'll have to ask my great nephew what the first color he saw. He's the latest in the family. So I'll have to ask him and see what he says. You dressed in red. You fit the bill for the day. Beautiful. And I liked how you had the toast for the meeting. you raised the glass. Just a couple things to improve for next time. I think you did a wonderful job, I must say, as Toastmaster. I think this is your first time or your second time. Excellent job. I would like to see not only Beth, but all our other Toastmasters try to get some background information for the speakers. I think that we not necessarily do a disservice to the speakers, but I think we do a better service to the speakers if we had some background information. Perhaps why this speaker, why this speech, something to lead into the content, not necessarily, outlining the speech, but just something to lead into it. And there's information online you could check out, and not necessarily Beth, but all our Toastmasters. I think that really adds to the impact of the speech, and it sets the speaker up for success. The only other thing I noticed, we didn't have all the titles for the speeches. And the other thing I would like to say is I would also like to see all of our Toastmasters have in advance of the meeting the speaker's title. I think it's sort of awkward. I've done it myself, but I think it's something we can all strive to improve on, is to have the speaker's title before, instead of asking. And I'm not getting on your back about this, Beth. I just think it's sort of clumsy, I think, during the meeting. And I think it's something we can all improve on, myself included, to have the speaker's title ahead of time. Overall, you did a wonderful job, Beth, as Toastmaster today. Moving into our evaluators, for the benefit of our guest, you may have heard someone say sandwich approach, and you're thinking Toastmasters, and you're thinking, are we toasting? Are we drinking? Are we making sandwiches? No, what's the sandwich approach is, if you picture a sandwich in layers, there's layers of bread. The one layer of bread is you're pointing out some positive things for the speaker. The second part is the meat, the constructive critique, the things that you liked about the constructive critique, something that they can take away and try to improve on for next speech. And the next layer of the sandwich would definitely be something to motivate the speaker to come back and want to speak again, encouraging words. And I feel that all of our evaluators, Tracy, Margot, and Gerald, definitely did that. And they not only gave something, a suggestion, they explained the suggestion. So it's a show and tell, or a tell and tell, if you will, and explain how they can improve for next time. That wraps up my general evaluation. Thank you, everyone, for participating this morning. Have a wonderful day.
Okay.
Okay, and moving along to our reports. Stephen, how did the word destitute?
We'll end with the word master, so
Oh.
people can use it. You have one last
Okay.
chance to use the word.
All right.
He'll be last.
The boss has spoken here. Anne Marie, would you be willing to give your report now on the for the Master?
Is Anne Marie there?
She's on mute.
Anne Marie, unmute yourself.
Hey, can you hear me?
Now we can. Perfect.
All right. Thanks for the feedback. Everybody did exceptionally well. I was really listening and didn't hear a lot of ums or pregnant pauses, etc. Just a couple. Tom Moran had one and three kind ofs, which I think is a filler word. Tracy had two ums. And Thomas, because it was impromptu, I don't know, and I know I just said an You had two so's, but you had more than 10 ums. Nancy had some very creative, effective pauses, and I've never really understood what a pregnant pause is. I think we say pregnant pause is negative. Is that correct? I don't know if they were pregnant or not, but they were very effective. And I love the the topic of mentoring. So that's my report. Thank you, Madam Toastmasters.
Beth, may
Okay.
I interject here? I told you that I was going to call for the rest of the report. So I'm
Yeah,
going
would you like to do that?
if that's okay with you. Moving on to our grammarian, Jennifer Zappala. How did we fare with grammar this morning, Jen?
Yes, I have some excellent grammar and I have a couple of notes as well. I heard Samir and Beth use some excellent phrasing today, and I mainly paid attention to our speakers and evaluators. Some interesting things that I heard from Ryan, robust reality. Nancy and Ryan both fit in the word in some very interesting ways, with destitute landscape from Ryan, and Nancy used emotional destitution. So I thought that was excellent. Thomas, I loved your phrasing, absorb popularity. So those were some of the positive things that I heard from our speakers today, but there was one note that I would like to make. It's something that I notice when I write an email. I often go back and I reread whatever I've written, or just writing in general, not necessarily an email. And I take out a lot of things that I don't need, these extra superfluous phrasings that we put in, and often it's hedging what we're saying. And I notice that we do that quite a lot as speakers. For example, saying something like really challenging. I noticed Ryan say that today, and we didn't really need the really challenging. I noticed a lot of people saying sort of. Nancy sort of gravitated towards something. Tracy was not too sure about something. Margot, she thought something was fabulous. So all of these little hedgings that we do, Gerald was kind of going to tell us about something, or he kind of talks about, we use kind of and sort of, and all of these different ways of hedging what we're saying. And so I wanted to point that out because I heard most everyone say one of these phrasings today, that we should be aware we don't need these little extra tidbits in our speaking, because we would take them out if we were editing ourselves. Thank you. Marty, back to you.
Thank you, Jen. Our gesture master, Moklis, Rahman.
Mr. General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guests, and of course, all the participants of this club. In my humble opinion, it is one of the best club in terms of performance and opportunity of improvement. The role of the gesture master is to encourage that. I believe everyone did an excellent job. I can't say enough. Started with the Toastmaster, club president. In my overall observation, because of the Zoom, we can only use the hand gestures, more the facial. I think Tracy would be a good example of facial because she really has the camera and contains a lot of the information through her expression. A lot of good eye contact. And I have to give kudos to Nancy. Nancy was the best. She really captured overall concept of gestures. I think she did an excellent job. Dave Jones and table topic speakers, our reports, everybody used hand gestures. What I missed is Tom Moran did not take his glasses off today. And I was hoping he would do it. So we were not destitute of gestures today. Excellent, excellent job. Kudos to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Moklis. Moving on to our quiz master, Samir Rahman. Give us a quiz. We're ready.
It was an excellent meeting today. So here is your quiz. Why did David Jones say Toastmasters are superheroes?
Come
Because of the
on.
public
Inspire,
speaking.
maybe.
Yeah, because of public speaking. What is Ryan blogging about?
Voting.
Water.
On the
Travel.
water.
Voting.
Water.
When Nancy was speaking, what W quality of a mentor helps the mentee with their understanding? It was second in her list.
Why?
Willingness.
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 Close. It was wisdom.
Wisdom was first.
Oh, I thought it was second. I failed my own quiz.
Good job, kid.
Too difficult for even myself. And Thomas, what doesn't Thomas believe in terms of comedy?
Laugh track.
That's
Right.
correct. Thank you, everyone. Back to you, Marty.
Thank you, Samir. Last but not least, our word master, Steve Smith.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. I was happy to see the word was used and spread throughout the whole meeting. A number of people used it. Anne Marie, Beth Banks, Jackie Kenny, Tracy Farrell, Nancy Ferry, Ryan Floor, Margot, Dr. Gerald, Marty Johnson, and Jen Zappa. Oh, good job. Good job today.
Now this concludes my general evaluation of the meeting. After calling for reports, and I would like to turn the meeting back over to Beth Banks and the presiding officers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We had some visitors today. John, our area director, had to leave but chatted us goodbye. Ali from the Queen City Toastmasters in North Carolina. Would you like to say anything before we wrap up?
Yes, I'd like to thank you guys for having me as a guest. I'm a part of the Queen City Toastmasters, and I could tell like it's some things that you guys do are just like totally different. You guys have like so many roles and so many members. And I know David had told me about it. I didn't know it was gonna be to this extreme. No, this is my expectations like here, and you guys, my expectations were like beyond the sky. Hopefully, like some things we can implement in our group going forward. And I just really enjoyed the time being here as a guest. And I will be coming back in the future. I took off 2 hours of work to come here, so I will be coming back in the future.
Oh, wow. Thank you very much. And another guest we have from Mexico City, Julio. Would you like to say anything? Welcome back.
Thank you, folks. I'm very excited to be here with you guys because I'm learning a lot. Every morning that I visited, I learn some new words and new good recommendations. And also, I'm very glad to be here with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Nice use of the color red behind you. Very good. And our last guest that I see, Anne, would you like to say anything for today? Thank you.
Good morning. This is my first Toastmasters, and a little background about me. I'm an educator. So the first thing I notice is it's extremely structured. Everybody's roles are clearly defined. There's a lot of support. Everybody knows their roles. And just A+. I had a really super positive morning. And just so you know, you don't see red here, but my pajamas are red, but I won't show them. So thank you for having me.
And where are you from?
Lockport, New York.
Oh, good.
Come again any Thursday. We're just taking off Christmas Eve.
Okay, thank you.
And you're definitely not the only educator here. I'm a retired school teacher from Newfane, so I understand. And yes, I do like the organization of it. I was a math teacher in particular, so the organization really strikes well with me.
I'll hand the meeting over to our
So
president.
I will hand the meeting over now to our president, Eric.
Thank you, Beth. Wonderful job as being Toastmaster for the first time. Can we give another round of applause to Beth? That is fantastic. Great job, Beth. All right. I would like to congratulate our winners this morning. Our best table topics winner is Ollie Tobin. Congratulations to Ollie. Congratulations. Now, I have some really good news. This is the first time this ever happened in our club. We have a 3-way tie for best evaluator.
They were all good.
So congratulations to Tracy, Margot, and Dr. Daryl Stevens as our best evaluators today. That is awesome. Congratulations. That's the first time we ever had that here. And our best speaker of the day is Nancy Ferry. Congratulations, Nancy. And sorry, Dave, no split club, but yeah. Yes, Dave? You have something?
There was trouble in a country a long time ago. There was a revolt, and the rebels used the red flag to signify revolt. And this was the first time the color red was used in conjunction with that. What country did that happen in?
That be Russia?
Nope.
United States.
Nope.
France?
Nope.
Can you just
It
tell
was
us?
Bella Italia, Italy.
Oh, I was going to say that, Bella Italia, yeah.
It was on the tip of my tongue.
Irish.
Yep, mine too.
All right.
Okay.
Are there any final announcements before I adjourn the meeting today?
Yes, Eric.
Yes, Larry.
I would like to extend a congratulations out to one of our past presidents who is taking her vows this weekend. Kate, congratulations on your wedding this coming Saturday. We wish you the best. And for those of our members that do celebrate, tonight is the beginning of Hanukkah, so extend a well wishes to you. Back to you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Larry. Congratulations to Kate and Wally, and it's going to be fun to see that. Tonight is social hour. Anybody can come on at 7 o'clock tonight. Guests are most welcome. And Larry will post it on the chat for the link. And in 2 weeks, we'll be having our, not in 2 weeks, in 3 weeks from today, we're having our New Year's Eve speech contest. And we will have more information as we get closer to that date.
I did email everyone that about a month ago with the calendar for December, but I'll send that out again next week. And so if you're thinking about doing a speech for a contest, December 31st would be a great
What contest? What contest is it?
It was in the email. Does anyone else recall?
Yes, it was. But next week on your honeymoon, you're going to send it out during your honeymoon?
I did a pre-honeymoon. We went to Vermont. It was
Okay.
It was a road trip. It's passed. I'm not doing it Monday right away, but we'll see.
All right. Well, like I said, we'll post to 2021 after the speech contest. So we hope you guys come on and join the fun. All right.
Thank
If
you.
there's any other announcements, I'll adjourn the meeting. Happy Thursday, everybody. Stick around for Post Toasties. Have a good weekend. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Thank you. Oh, Margot just put in the chat. Oh, the story of Hanukkah is on the winery Facebook page today. It will be.
Oh,
nice.
That